Welcome back to another episode of What's Ahead. Today with me, I have Shubhank Saxena. He graduated from Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology in 2021. He was the winner of Smart India Hackathon in 2019 and a runner-up of the same in 2020. He is a blockchain developer, voice UI designer, a full stack engineer with knowledge of tech stacks, React and Django. He also has a nick of hardware and IoT. Thank you so much for being here, Shubhank.
Thank you for having me here. It's good to be being part of an initiative of such a great initiative.
Right. So, would you like to tell a little bit about yourself to everyone watching right now?
Yeah, so my name is Shubhank. So currently I work at Wall. This is where I work with the blockchain data and the way we want to represent it to common users. Apart from that, I've been into a lot of open source and stuff, and it's been like my entire journey revolves around a lot of software engineering as well as working with hardware.
How did you spend your time in college and what were some of the activities that you do? You can also mention about like your daily timetable that was there.
Yeah. So I was a bit lazy person in college. I did not attend much of my classes, guilty as charged, but I think most of my time was probably spent up looking up for new sorts of technologies, like what should I pursue next, looking out for some cool projects, getting inspiration from existing projects, trying to improve it. So most of my timetable would look like getting up for the day, doing normal course, then probably attending classes, then going back to my room, and yeah, just researching about new things till we had dinner. So yeah, that was a pretty much the same schedule for every day almost. Yeah.
You were the winner of Smart India Hackathon in 2019 and a runner up of the same in 2020. So, for all the people listening right now, what is SIH? What is the structure of SIH, like the different stages, and how did you prepare for it?
So SI stands for Smart India Hackathon. It is probably one of the biggest hackathons in the entire world due to the sheer volume of the participants and the projects that participate. So this is an initiative which is run by Government of India, in which you basically, so the Government of India, they gave out specific problem statements to people in collaboration to either their own government entities or private companies like Cisco or Bajaj, etc. And you just have to give them the solution regarding the problem, and then some top teams are judged accordingly, and then you are declared as a winner if they feel like your solution to the problem was the best one out there. So actually, the format changed quite a bit from what happened in 19 to 20. So I'll just pick up the latest one, which I think follows the one which was in 20 as well. So the way it works is you basically try to pick one problem statement which you're going to represent at the finale. And there is this internal hackathon that occurs at your college level, in which college has a cutoff of how many teams they can allow to move further. And once you qualify through that, your names are given in to the SIH organizers, and then you are allowed to put in your solutions to the respective organizations as well. So first cutoff is basically to clear your college hackathon. In 2020, for us, it was 5 teams were allowed to clear off. I'm not sure about the current stats of the teams for software. And then these 5 teams, they report out their solutions to respective organizations, and if their problem statement was probably you could say an apt fit for being into the top 4 nationwide, then they were selected for the finale. And then in 2019, the finale, we went on site, which was in Kerala. And 2020, unfortunately, due to COVID, it was an online based hackathon. So yeah, I think that's how the structure works for Smart India Hackathon.
So, and how did you prepare for it?
I think for 20, I'll probably go with 2019 first because that was my first experience with SIH. So it turns out Smart India Hackathon wasn't my first hackathon. So before that, I already had an existing team, and we were participating in a lot of various hackathons before that. So for me, preparing for Smart India Hackathon came out a bit naturally. The mindset to participate in a hackathon was a bit natural. But the only key point that I wanted to focus to everyone out there who's preparing and forming a team at this point of time is try to have a diversity in your team. That's how you prepare, right? Because the more diverse number of people are there in your group, the more technological stacks you people can cover. And the more technological stack you cover is the more robust and more diverse product you can build. So I think that is key number one. The second one would be to be very thorough with the problem statement. I know the problem statements may seem very intimidating when you start reading them, but I remember this very vividly. We had a team discussion in 2019 for all the Thapar people out there. We sat in the A blocks cafeteria, the one near the main gate, and we ordered up a bit of samosas and stuff. And I think we read each problem statement that we were interested in around 10 times. I specifically remember this count because I made sure that as being the team leader, I made sure that we read problem statement 10 times. So that what happens is that when you try to reinforce your brain towards what exactly the problem statement is, you try to you tend to understand the nitty gritties of it. And I think the biggest failure or biggest criteria of a lot of people getting rejected from Smart India Hackathon is that they don't focus on the problem statement at hand. So I think these are the two big tips that anyone who's
A lot of people, they can read up on the internet about what to do for, to prepare for a hackathon or win an hackathon. But what I want to ask is that what should students not do while preparing for SIH?
yeah. So I think it is like it's a very good question because that's not something which is discussed very often out there in the public. So first one would be don't try to team up with the people that almost possess the same skills as yourselves. So when I started with my supposed first hackathon, I was actually part of another team. And so we were four people, and turns out all four of us were web developers. So the thing is that whenever we want to tackle any problem, the only direction that we were able to think was that if you build a web solution out of everything that is possible at your convenience and the skill sets that you possess. So at that point of time, I realized that this is a very limiting habit because in that sense, you will never be able to see across beyond the horizon of what there are the other possibilities that are there. So I think first step would be just to not form team with the people of your similar skill level or skill sets. Second would be again, it all comes down to I think this is more of a personal tip is that never argue with your judge. Sometimes it may be that the person who's going to judge you expects something out of you.
Mhm.
And in the first glance it may feel like as if it's a very bossy thing to ask something out so upfront, and sometimes there are ego clashes as well, and that happens in real life quite often. But you
Yeah.
got to realize that no matter how skillful you are, the end points and everything is reserved in the hands of respected judges, right? So make sure that whatever be very humble, be very polite with your judge, and make sure that you follow on to the mid evaluation suggestions that the judges or the people from the company given, because when you implement the things that they demanded in mid hack, that's what creates the maximum impact, because then they are assured of that you are a very good developer that was able to reach up to the level of their expectations, and that too in a very small stipulated time. And the third thing would be, I think time management is something which is not often talked about. So no matter how big your hackathon is, so I think Smart India Hackathon is 36 hours, but I've been to hackathons from 12 to 48 hours as well. So, time management is a very critical thing, because the thing is that if you want to get wake up till next 12 or 24 hours, your efficiency is maximum when you start with your hack.
Right.
And it's gradually goes down as you cross midnight, somewhere around 5 in the morning and stuff like that. So make sure to get almost everything done in your active hours, and it's okay to sleep in between. That's perfectly no issues with that. But make sure that you manage your time accordingly. And one thing that our team used to do was, we used to take naps in parts. So let's say we were 6 people, so three of them would stay awake for 12 hours. And in that last 3 4 hours, like one of the three of us would take out a small nap, and next three of them would take out a small nap after we got up. So, you know, it just increases your team's overall efficiency.
So I have another question. This is not
Yeah.
there in the script, but a lot of people, they're doing Python, they're doing C++, they're doing Java, they're doing a lot of programming languages, but they still don't feel that they're prepared enough to participate in a hackathon. So when do you think a person should, what's that point where the person should stop thinking about how much they know and just go ahead and participate in hackathons?
I think that mentality should inculcate the day you start programming. Because honestly, there is no particular day. I know this may sound very cliche that, there is no day to get prepared and stuff like that. But, that's what I personally felt, when I started with my hackathon journey and stuff. I wasn't prepared. I mean, I came from the background of having no CS education in my 11th, 12th. And I think the only practical CS knowledge that I had in my first year was the C++ programming courses that you do. And, some overall knowledge of things around the world in my second semester. And yet I started in the hackathon journey in the third semester of my college. So again, going to the point as to when you will know that you will be prepared, so that point will never come. But the thing is that if you have a team who's willing to learn as you grow, or maybe learn as you hack, having a team with that mentality is of utmost importance. Because then, let's say if you face a problem which none of you have been aware before, like you guys are not aware of the technology that is to be used, but you know the end goal. So then the entire team would sit together. It's a collective intelligence at work, and all 4 or 6 of you will try to figure out, either in a hacky way or in a proper implementation, but you'll definitely reach to that goal. And that's what hackathons inculcate the habit of, right? You are given a very small stimulated amount of time, and you have to perform the best of your abilities. And honestly, my maximum amount of learning or the programming that I've done so far actually came from participating in a lot of hackathons, and especially when I did not know about these things before the hackathon.
Right.
Then that's how it works. And you always learn new things.
Right. That's great. Right. So back to SIH. What was the project that you made and how did you guys go about it?
Okay. So I'll start with 2019. So fortunately for me, both 2019 and 2020 were under the same organization, Cisco, and they were relatively same projects, which is working on their Meraki camera. So in 2019, we were given the problem statement of, so Cisco has a smart camera known as Meraki, in which they had a plan of installing it in the public places that have a very crowd inflow of people. So the end goal was to do something, make some meaningful data pipeline out of it, and try to make a project on top of it. Like we have providing you the camera. This camera would be installed at places like bus station, hospitals, post office, banks. Make something that can be useful under it, right? So I think the next and a very obvious thing for us to do is that let's just count the number of people. Let's just calculate the crowd density, and let's just make sure that if, let's say I want to go to bank, I should be I should be aware of the current situation that is there in the bank, so as to I can predict whether the work that I intend to get done would be done today, or would be delayed to some other day due to the crowd density and the non-availability of the resources. So that was the goal in mind. And without getting into any specific technical details, the end goal was to make sure that the project is, you could say, accessible to everyone out there. So that means that we built a mobile app for it, we built a website for it, we even developed it for smart speakers like Google and Alexa. And that was not it. We actually developed an IVR based systems for the phones which do not have smart screen or which are not non-smartphones, the non-feature phones, the one the dot matrix one which you used to have that 0 to
Those
9
phones
keyword.
out
Yeah,
there.
the small ones, exactly. So let's say this particular use case was something which Cisco actually appreciated us a lot. And the idea behind it was that, let's say there is someone, so you know that good banks and good hospitals are not available in the village areas, right? And there are a lot of villages in which the distance between the main city and the village spans around to somewhere 350 kilometers, and even greater than that. So I think this feature would be more useful for those people who want to plan their travel beforehand. So imagine if I want to visit a bank that is 300 kilometers away, and I so wish that there was a way for me to even get the glimpse of the bank and understand whether it would be fruitful for me to even go today or maybe some other day. So in that way, all the information that was being conveyed to smartphone, we made sure that it was also available to those small phones. And there was another caveat in it. We made sure that it is translated to their local regional language.
Oh, that's great.
So let's say there is someone who's living in Gujarat, and again, this was our assumption that assumption or the goal that we want to make sure that everything that we build at that place should be accessible and usable across all spectrum of people available, from those living in the suburbs to living in at the lowest tier of the nation, and that too at their own convenience. So I know that most of the information that we were getting on the programmer side was in English, but we made sure that we support Tamil, Hindi, Gujarati, and Punjabi. Yeah, these were the four languages that we supported out of the box.
That's super innovative. That's so cool. Right. So you've been talking about having a team in hackathon, right? So how did you build your team, and what are some of the tips you can give for someone looking to make a team?
Yeah, I think building a team is the most important thing that you'll ever do in your hackathon journey, if something that you want to start with. And starting off with wrong people is such a throw off, would be such a throw off from your end goal. So I think the first thing that you want to look on for the people is their ability to learn. I really don't want to fill up my team with the people who claim to know everything or who supposedly know everything. It's better to find people with less knowledge but more curiosity than to find people with too much of knowledge and no curiosity at any point of time, because hackathons demand a lot of flexibility. I can like bet on this at 100% of the times that whenever you participate in a hackathon, even if you build your project beforehand, I'm pretty sure that it will fail at that point of time, because it's this there is this some curse known as the hackathon curse that revolves around every project that you build, and it will stop work. It magically stops working. Even if the product you tested it and it was working before night, it will stop working. So that requires flexibility. Debug how things worked out, why the things were not working, why they were working last night. That's also a big question, right? So it's better to have someone in the team who's curious, someone who can grasp to the new challenges, tackle onto the new challenge, grasp the new concepts around the way, something like that. The second one would be with the people, form the team with the people with whom you can share your lifestyles and you would be comfortable with. Because the people with whom I formed my team, there were times during the hackathons when we did not bathe for a day or two. I know it sounds so yuck at this point of time, but that was something that unfortunately happened, right? Because when you participate in a 24-hour hackathon, you basically miss on 2 days of not having a bath. So one day involves traveling, the other one is participating all night. So you just need to be. So this is an example of how the people that you live, be with together should be very comfortable with the lifestyles that you live in. Third one would be again, try to be as inclusive, in your team. There should be not a very hard cutoff to be part of the team. Don't take out tests for other. Don't have the test format that if you want to join my team, you need to fulfill this test. You need to build a project.
Mhm.
This does not work well. Yeah, I think, and the fourth one again, when I say inclusivity, as I said, like in the previous point, as in the previous question that was asked, try to build a team with the diverse skill sets. The more the diverse skill sets you have. So in my case, so again, just to reinforce all the 3 points or the 4 points that I stated. So the way I started with the team was I was the software knowing guy, and I had a bit of knowledge with hardware as well. So my first priority was to find someone who's very good at hardware
Mhm.
and to find someone who's very good in software.
Right.
And my second priority was find someone who can, just build stuff in probably an hour or two without even knowing anything beforehand. So this was my criteria because I was the person who knew about things but did not had the enough knowledge to implement them at that point of time. So that's how I found my team.
Right. This is amazing. Right. So moving on to something that I found out about you after having conversations with you was that you have three patents, which in my opinion is crazy. So how is your journey to this like?
Honestly, the patents is something that I don't, think about much because that was never the end goal. The goal was that to build projects to assist people around you, and that's what actually happened. So whenever we participate in a lot of hackathons, we tend to build projects which were revolving around wearable devices, which would, assist visually impaired people, autistic people. We even worked with the deaf and dumb people. That was thing. And it turns out that the problems that we were trying to solve, the way we were trying to solve was quite unique. And thus that helped us, to land patents out of the projects that we did. So the journey I would rather say is that be innovative in that way that solve the problems around you first. Like there are ample of opportunities and problems that can be solved at this point of time. And when you try to target the small problems around you, turns out you can very easily combine the solution of 3 to 4 problems and build one thing out of it. And once you do that, I think that gives birth to a very unique kind of project. And thus it can help you as well to, file up for patents, projects, research papers out of
Right. So what do you think helps in getting opportunities in college, and what should college students do?
I think being in Thapar, you already have a lot of good opportunities, a lot of good exposure to things, not just restricted to your academics. Thanks to a lot of communities and the societies that we have in college. Again, you have to be very sure that you pick up a very good sort of societies and communities out there. Uh, I think internet is a friend at this point of time because due to this COVID lockdown and stuff, the sheer amount of opportunities that are now available has drastically increased due to everything coming online. So
Definitely.
internet is your friend. I mean, you really have to be. So the way I used to do things was that I never used to so I know that a lot of people have a habit to, when they wake up, they usually open up their WhatsApp or Instagram when they wake up in the morning. I remember that during my second year, the first application that I used to open was LinkedIn. So
Right.
as soon as I get up in the morning, while getting ready for the class, I used to open up LinkedIn, and most of my time was spent around either browsing LinkedIn or browsing GitHub projects. So the point that I'm trying to convey over here is that you just need, so information is present out there in every resource, every form that you can ever imagine. It's just that you need to tap into the right and specific sources that you want to grasp your knowledge. So some that I can recall off my mind is GitHub, LinkedIn is one. Um, Join a lot of online communities, especially if you are someone who's interested to participate in hackathons. There are Devfolio is one. Then DevPost is one of them. And if you are someone like me who who loves building hardware projects, so Hackster.io is one. So these are some. So again, the point is that you need to find specifically relevant resources to what you want to do. And then I think with time, when you start to browse internet and try to change your internet habits, like switching your time that you used to spend on Instagram to something more constructive, you'll eventually get to learn about more and more opportunities around you. And thus, I think that's the best way to figure out opportunities. And I think a very rock solid assumption that a lot of people come in the colleges, that colleges will help them with everything. And that's a very bad practice or bad assumption, because real life does not provide you opportunities like on a spoon or on a silver platter. So you need to be very self-aware of what you want to do. And yeah, there are ample of resources on the internet at this point of time.
Right. That was so beautifully said.